I spent a lot of my career over the past years around this concept of human-computer interaction. And my job was to build algorithms to really make information more personalized and relevant and contextual when people are using their phone or websites. But always the paradigm was this relationship between the human and the machine. And one thing that is really changing is now I'm thinking about AI instead of human to machine interaction is really enabling us to have better human to human interaction if we use it correctly and if we build it correctly. So my work at Media Lab is very much focused on building the next generation infrastructure and algorithms and tests to see how we can do that, to build models that AI is not going to replace us, but to really augment us to collaborate better. I want to give you some examples on things that I'm working on. As an example, I'll give you a bit of a background on the technicalities and I'll show you some examples. Think about as a student, I'm reading a research paper. Even at MIT, we have professors that they have different viewpoints and different skills. Wouldn't it be great if I can activate their lens and retrieve their opinion about that subject, but at the end of the day, it's me who is developing that opinion? Or think about, I'm going to a new city, and I can activate the semantics of a celebrity, and I can walk through that city through her lens. See what she went, what she ate, what she did. So I can still rely on centralized recommendation systems, but I also can see the world through other people's point of view. And that's exactly what I'm working on, and the term that I use is perspective-aware computing. I don't want to get a lot to the details, but we are building these multimodal systems. We use symbolic reasonings. We use a type of machine learning called structural learning to essentially build a graph of your daily life. And we call that your chronicle. Your chronicles are causal graphs that really understand the relationships between different nodes and entities in your life. You as a family member, you as a professional, you as an athlete, and that develops that whole chronicle. We do not store that chronicle in one location because that's a serious privacy and security concerns. So a lot of our work is to orchestrate all of that data and then provide a component of that expertise to someone that may benefit from that based on some trust algorithms. And this was presented at the Digital Human stream of the AAAI conference in Vancouver that happened a few weeks ago. Now, what we do, these graphs are developing these ontologies, essentially your understanding of the world. Could be very high level, could be very specific. My semantics as a professor, as an athlete, as a father. And we use ontological mapping, symbolic reasoning, and leveraging language models to really develop these graphs. Now, let me give you an example. You're building a language similar to the syntax that you have seen on Twitter that I call it I generate. So I can say, I want to generate Exploring Paris in Winter, and I see the chronicles that are available that can help me from my trusted social network. I reason on that LLM. I generate a graph as a chronicle of my friend Maddie, who is now in Europe, and I do dynamic scene generation, and I can see the Paris through his lens. Where he went, what did he eat, what music did he listen to on Spotify. This is where things, even like open banking, becomes interesting. So a lot of people think open banking is a regulation. I can actually participate and figure out what he bought when he went to that restaurant, and I can relate to that. Let me give you another example. The video on the left is our office in Toronto, the real footage of our office. The one on the right is the tool that my team created that very quickly allows you to create the digital twin of that space using Gaussian splatting and different types of techniques and map these chronicles, individual chronicles, business chronicles in the office. So when someone comes to the office, they can say, I want to generate the office on Monday, and I want to see the office through the lens of the CEO. What does the CEO care about today? This is not me. This is an expertise that I shared So that individual can now navigate the spatial aspect of the office, but see my concerns, because it's a component of the chronicle that is being captured and rendered in the space. But now I can go and change the lens to, let's say, someone who is an ESG specialist. How is this company doing in terms of energy efficiency, sustainability, recycling? So although space is the same, I am now wearing these contextual lenses. These are those chronicles, those graphs that I talked about, that really allows you to see the world from different points of views. Or an intern. An intern starts. How does this place work? Where do I go? Where do I start? So you can now view the space accordingly. This is another example built by my team who are working on spatial computing on one of the newest headsets. You may imagine what that is. And now you can view content and retrieve chronicles of friends and colleagues you have in your social network to see what they think about. So this particular one, the individual is reading an article about recovery after an athletic injury. The chronicle of a friend who has expertise in that will pop up, and all the articles and things that she has done will pop up. You can still do your research, but not through a black box centralized systems, but through a decentralized collaborative network. And now you can activate another friend and see what he thinks about. We actually won an award at Stanford in applying this in US politics and demonstrating that we can reduce polarization by allowing people to understand each other better. So without going through a lot of the details, we do a lot of work on multimodal systems. So we can understand images. We capture a lot of data from images in form of metadata. We use multimodal systems to understand sentiment analysis and process all of that. And we essentially create a representative, a chronicle of your life that you can now use, components of that, and lend that as an expertise to others. Most of the things that I have shown up until now are what I call screen AI. Whether you're using a headset or on a web interface or on a phone interface, it renders the information on a two-dimensional screen. But we can also think about dimensional AI. This is an example of my daughters interacting with a robot. The test that I'm doing is that I am inputting those chronicles into that robot and allowing my kids to interact with the robot to update that ontology. So some of the things that I believe in and I want them to know, which are incorporated in that graph, through a USB key, this is an old robot, is being given to that robot. So through their interaction on a multimodal basis, images, paintings, talks, the robot-human interaction or the human-AI interaction can become more effective. Same set of principles, different dimensions. We have a project at MIT Media Lab called Augmented Eternity, essentially using this system to create the digital replica of yourself. We are working with different partners, and we are applying that to essentially create these deepfakes that are essentially representing you based on your permission, and as you're training this system, you can actually have a digital representation of you interacting with others. There are lots of issues in this, which we are researching. Ethical issues. Can my avatar become sentient if I'm no longer around? But it is allowing us to address some very key questions. Bringing kids in front of parents to see how they interact with the avatar of their parents. And we are really publishing those data to figure out how that works. The last thing I want to talk about, which a lot of colleagues mentioned here, the future of work. I don't think AI is here to replace us. I think AI is here to augment us, and I give you a real example. The organizational chart on the left is a team that I have at Flybits. You have seen this all the time. Project comes in, request comes in, I bring that team together based on skill sets, calendar, budget, availability, who can do this, timeline. That's a perfect metrics for an AI model. I don't need a large model for that. I need a small model for that that can interface with a large model. So the future of work is that every single member of my team will have a chronicle. So when the request comes in, they are the chronicles that are working together to achieve a task. So this is federated learning and federated collaboration between models. So the job of the future is I am training my model and I'm going about my daily lives to make my model better so that my model can do a better job in the organization. So I end by saying that my vision is that in our new world, data is the new asset class, trust is the new currency, and I think AI is the new economy. Thank you very much.